In this lesson, we'll cover project files and templates. So, if you haven't worked with Revit before, you may ask yourself, what is a project file? Well, the project file is the actual file that you're designing, that three-dimensional model inside of Revit, where some other tools may call it a drawing or a part. Revit calls this a project. So that three-dimensional model is called a project that you create. So looking at my screen right now, this is the intro screen that you would see once you start Revit. You have projects listed on the top, then a horizontal line and families below that. I'm just going to focus on the project area right now. So on the very top, below projects, you have an open button. This would allow you to open a project that you have currently worked on or someone has given you that it's already been designed. To the right of that are four pictorials. These little images represent the last four projects you open. Now that's based on default settings for Revit. You could simply click on one of these images and it would open up that project. Below Open on the left is New. New allows you to create a new project either from scratch or from a template. Now below the New button are four default templates that you can use: construction, architectural, structural, and mechanical. These templates already have elements built into them, so you don't have to recreate and set up everything for every project you create. That's the power of creating a project from a template. Now, what other templates are there? Well, let's click the New button to see. The New project window appears, and in the template file dropdown, you again have those four projects plus none, but there are other projects that are loaded. They may not just be visual in this list. To see those, click the Browse button on the right. This will open up the default location for your default templates based on however you installed Revit. For example, the way I installed Revit was to use the imperial units or measurement system by default for any Revit project I create. So that means inches and feet. And this is the location of where those imperial templates are actually located. And as you can see, I have a lot more than those four that you saw previously. And a lot of these templates are geared specifically for discipline or that area of design that you're working in. So it could be structural, mechanical, electrical, could be residential or commercial. There's also one for default. Default is just a generic broad range template that has a few elements in it, but not really specific to a standard or an industry or an area of discipline. So to create a project based on one of these templates, simply just click the template and then open. That'll put the template file in the actual dropdown, so you see it here. And then project is highlighted for create new, and then I would just click OK. But I'm not going to do that just yet. Let's go back and look now where these project templates are stored at. So I'm going to click Browse again. Same list appears. One thing to note, the project files end in the extension RTE, and you can see that on the very bottom. So a Revit template file ends in .rte. Now the location, again, depend upon what version of Windows you have and how you installed Revit. This location may vary, but the templates on my computer by default for a default installation would be under the C drive, Program Data, Autodesk, Revit 2015, Templates, and then in my case, US Imperial, because Imperial units are default. You also have metric units too that could be installed, or they may be your default setting, again, depending upon how you installed Revit. To see those, I can simply click Templates, and now you have two folders. You may have more as well, again, depending on how you installed Revit. If I double-click metric, I see the exact same templates as Imperial, but these carry the metric measurement system. So millimeters, meters, centimeters, and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and go back up again to Templates and go back to Imperial. And then I'll select that mechanical template once again and click Open. And then again, right here, I can say OK and create a new project based on the mechanical template. Now, let's say you want to add something to that template or change that template or make a new template for a line of work that you're working on or a specific customer, or just change to the template that you want to add some more elements to it so you're not recreating these different things over and over again. So I'm going to make a new template. It's going to be based upon this mechanical template. So with the mechanical template selected in the template file dropdown, under Create New, I'm going to now select Project Template. What this will do is create a new project template based upon the mechanical template. So with those two things selected, click OK. Now, depending on the version of Revit you're using, and if you're using templates made in a previous version, which you can, when you open up those templates or use those templates to create a new project or a new template, it's going to go through an upgrade process of that template that was from the previous version. And that's what you just saw here. So it's actually opening up this version 2014 template. It's now converting it to the 2015 scheme, basically behind the scenes stuff, if you will. And then it's going to open up and I'll see that template with all of its functions and all of its settings, and I can go in and start to make any modification I want. Now, once I save that template will be saved back to the 2015 version. There is no saving back to previous versions in any flavor of Revit. So once you open and save something in that version of Revit, you have to work in that version or a newer version. So here's that template. It basically opened up. The template is here with all of its settings, all its configurations. I see different views created on the left. There's multiple levels. What I can do now is basically come in and start to make additional enhancements or modifications to this to create different elements in the template. I'm going to make one change. And instead of looking at the views by discipline, I'm going to go to my browser organization just by right-clicking views. And I'm going to change this to type discipline and then click OK. Basically, just reorganize the project browser, if you will. And feel free to make any other modifications to this template as well. Now, after you're done making the modifications to the template, we need to save it. So I'm going to go to the large R, preferably go to Save As, then Template. By default, it'll bring up that directory, US Imperial or Metric, for where your other templates are stored. Now you can give this template a new name, and I'm just going to call it Mechanical 2 or MECH2 for this example. Extension is RTE, and now I'll click Save. What it will do now is create a new template in that directory called MECH2, or whatever you choose to name it, and now it's ready for me to use for a new project. So I'll go ahead and close this template. I'm back to the same screen as I was before. Under Projects, I'll click New. For my templates, if I click the drop down and I don't see it, I'll click Browse. And then in the list here, I see that new template I created, MECH2. I'll click Open. I'll say for Create New, create a project, and then click OK. Since that template's a 2015 version, it immediately opens a project. Everything is set and configured and already pre-populated based upon that template. I'm ready to start designing now in Revit. So again, this lesson was an overview of project files and templates and how templates can speed the use and design by reuse of data in your Revit projects.